A lot of people assume that when someone moves from a life of misalignment into a life that is more authentic, that it happens through some big leap or dramatic event. But in my experience, that's not often what happens. It's usually through a lot of many inner transformations. And when I look back at my own journey, there are 4 things that really stand out that helped me to move from a life of incongruence into a life of soul alignment. And in today's video, we're going to unpack those 4 things. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Sarah Bell, and if you missed my last video, I talked a little bit about how anxiety can be a form of intelligence when you're moving from a place of misalignment into alignment. Oftentimes when we're in that space of what I think of as a soul crisis, where we're looking at our lives and everything looks great on the outside, but inside something feels like it's afoot or restless, or there's an inner stirring that's too big to ignore. And we start to feel anxious about the future because we feel a little bit caged, or how can I get out of this place and into a place that feels more aligned with the truth of who I am. Those are like hallmarks of awakening. But awakening is just the first piece. And so what happens after we start to feel that inner dissonance? Well, there are 4 things in my own path that I think are so paramount to that inner transformation journey that actually support you in moving into higher soul alignment. So let's get into those. The first one is having a spiritual teacher. Having a spiritual teacher. And so it's really important. We look at all the ways that we are navigating our lives, the things we keep up with, the way we take care of this physical vessel, our emotional and mental well-being. And for some, they have more traditional spiritual practices, such as going to church or being in spiritual community. But I'm talking about having a trusted, like, spiritual advisor or spiritual teacher that can teach you how to get connected with your own soul, your own inner spirit, your own inner dialogue, connect it up to your higher levels, someone that has like walked the path, that has wisdom to share, to pass down, and so that I don't want to say follow in their footsteps, but in essence, they've walked the path and they can accelerate the path for you by sharing what they've learned and guiding you and reflecting back to you where you are on your journey, what might be supportive to you with where you are. And so giving you those nuggets of wisdom, giving you the guidance, or bringing you the questions that help you to ultimately find that best way forward for you. And so for me, I had a spiritual well, I've had many spiritual teachers, many spiritual teachers. There are a few though that sort of stand out to me as master teachers. These are people who their lives are devoted to this work. One of the teachers that I had her home was an ashram. And she had all kinds of different offerings for people to come and be in spiritual community. Everything from weekly meditation and Tai Chi to self-mastery courses, regenesis trainings, drum crafting, all the things. And so it was really this like spiritual home where I was able to like connect in with the truth of my being and learn directly from her. And I've had other teachers that have imparted different types of wisdom, like my teachers from the Andes that impart wisdom from the Andean cosmovision that has all supported my path. And I could go on and on and on, but you get the idea. The point is that a spiritual teacher can accelerate the path for you by helping you to get in touch with yourself, that inner essence and that inner spirit, because that's ultimately your greatest guide. Your higher self is your greatest guide. And that actually brings me to number 2, which is learning how your intuition communicates. So it's getting in touch with your higher self, your soul self, and starting to learn the difference between your intuition and your logic mind, or that ego mind that will trip you up. It wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you playing small. And so the ego will constantly be this loud, domineering voice that's like getting in the way or blocking you from that soul expansion. Whereas your soul speaks through intuition, and it's always guiding you to your highest expression, your highest potential. And it's ultimately your intuition that is going to be your greatest guide. And I don't want to discount the ego, because there is importance in being safe. There's importance in balancing like the pros and cons, right? Like there's always room for that. We don't want to just only operate on intuition alone, because they work together. But when it comes to true soul alignment and true soul fulfillment, your intuition is your greatest guide. But many of us have to actually learn how that communicates, how that shows up, and the difference between the ego mind and our intuitive mind. And a spiritual teacher can really help you to accelerate that process there again. But when I began developing a relationship with my intuition and my higher self, I could start to see where the dissonance really lived, what was really in alignment and what wasn't. And I was able to just like, I can drop in at any moment into that space of my intuitive knowing and make a decision and find my best path forward. And so that will guide you step by step. Your higher intelligence, your higher wisdom knows the path and the plan, and it will guide you every step of the way. It can be hard to yield to it, but ultimately it has the greatest path forward for you. And this is going to bring me to number 3. And that is kind of the friction that comes up, or the what bubbles up when we start to experience that intuitive knowing and that intuitive wisdom. And that is a nervous system response. And so number 3 is learning how your nervous system communicates. And this is going to be uniquely patterned for you. And so we all have this beautiful biology that is our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And there are different things for all of us that trigger us and that cause us to go into experiences of fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And all of that too will show you where your deeper inner wounding lives, where your deeper unconscious patterns live. It all will show you where you feel safe and where you don't. And so doing a deep dive into your own map of your nervous system is the most valuable thing you can do when you're trying to navigate a life of misalignment to a life of alignment. Because what you will encounter over and over and over again in that journey from misalignment to alignment is nervous system dysregulation, because you have built a life that knows this way of being. And even though it might feel like it is sucking your soul, to get into a life of alignment requires you to move out of your comfort zone and to do what you've never done. And so that will start to whip up all kinds of dysregulation and destabilization. And so when you start to understand how your nervous system is wired, how it is operating, what triggers you, and how to move back into regulation. So it's not just knowing the map and knowing the territory of your nervous system, but it's knowing how to get back to a space of grounding and safety, and how to ultimately build that resiliency to be able to move through those stressful places, those periods of the unknown, and being with the mystery and trusting your intuition, even though it's guiding you into the unknown. That's kind of the key there too. I missed that piece, but when you're working with your intuition, it's often guiding you into the unknown, or guiding you into territory where you've never been. It's pushing you to your edge. It's pushing you to the edges of your comfort zone or your growth zone. And it's those edges that hold our greatest growth. And it's also those edges that take us into dysregulation. And so when we know and understand our nervous system, and we have tools and can cultivate that capacity, we can start to be in those edges of discomfort. And we can hold the field. We can hold our energy and hold our light there, and then ultimately move through those spaces of discomfort and move through greater levels of growth. And that is what starts to take you inch by inch from misalignment into alignment. And that journey looks different for everyone. It's going to have different stories. It's going to have different events, different relationships, different decisions. But these things that I'm talking about, these core things, are the same for everyone. Your intuition being your greatest guide, a teacher helping you to understand that, your nervous system always being something that you're up against because you're always taking in these energetic inputs and having to navigate the unknown, navigate your growth, navigate your edges, right? These things are parallel or universal for everyone. And so the fourth thing, and maybe this should have been the first thing, but I do think the teacher is like high priority because to do this alone can also bring up its own density, its own heaviness, right? But when you have a teacher, they're encouraging you, they're supporting you, they're reflecting back for you, that they're that mirror. They can help show you your beliefs and help show you the edges and help show you the potential. And so a teacher can really hold the field for you. And I'm saying teacher, but it can also be a coach or a guide or a mentor. Like that word can sort of change, right? But it's that person that is helping you to see yourself and connect with your inner spirit and your soul, your higher levels, and to hold the field for your higher potential and your journey into that soul alignment. Okay, so now the fourth item here on my list is about discovering your soul gifts. Because when you start to discover and we can almost use that word gifts in many different ways. It could be soul purpose. It could be soul mission. It could be soul gifts, your path of service, your dharma, right? We can talk about this in many different ways, but it's discovering what that is for you. And for some people that can feel like a lot of pressure, like it's this thing to go find, when actually your soul gifts, your soul purpose, your soul mission is all just you, your essence, shining, unimpeded, fully turned up, the volume turned up on your light. It's your essence. It's your essence, but your essence and what you radiate carries certain gifts. And that will be influenced by your past lives. It'll be influenced by your soul ancestry. And so I'm not just talking about your personal ancestry, like your great grandparents and great great grandparents and so forth down your ancestral line, but I'm even talking about your star ancestry. There are many people that are star seeds that have many past lives in star nations, star origins. And when you start to understand that too, there are like these deeper currents or deeper threads that brought you here, deeper gifts to share. There are also things that you are innately good at, talents that you have, and there are life experiences that you have. And all of these things are weaving together. Your life experience, the big things, like your big lessons in life, the things that you have had to encounter here in this plane, in this reality, in this density, like lessons that you've learned, that you've embodied. Those are really incredibly valuable to your soul mission and your gifts that you have to share because you have wisdom. You have wisdom from those experiences that you hold today. And we couple that with past life influence and star lineage and all of these other parts of you to arrive at what is your medicine, what is your path of service. And that might be your vocation in your career, and it might not. It might just be expressed through you everywhere you go. It doesn't have to be how you make money in the world, but it is important that you discover it and you get it, because that is ultimately what you are here to impart in the world. And the more you start to understand this, the more that starts to become your North Star. And so it's guiding you from that place of misalignment into alignment. The more you are aligned with that part of you, the more liberated you feel, the more free you feel in your expression. And that creates a life of meaning, whether that's your career or whether that's how you show up day to day and with everyone you meet. That is what creates greater freedom and greater fulfillment and meaning and expression and wholeness in your lived experience. And so the 4 items are to find a teacher or to work with a teacher, to discover your intuition, how that is different from the ego mind, and really get connected up with your higher self, to discover how your nervous system operates, your unique map, how you respond to energetic inputs in the world around you, and ultimately how to regulate that nervous system. And then being able to tap into your soul gifts, discovering what those are. And there are so many different ways of exploring that. So many different ways of exploring that. And I encourage you to do them all. Like whatever arrives to you that brings you insights to your soul, your expression, your uniqueness, that will serve you as you continue on with your journey. And so when I look back at my own journey, I can see that awakening was just the beginning. Awakening was just the beginning. But what truly changed everything for me was that consistent commitment to this path of inquiry, this path of self-understanding. And ultimately, it's a path of mastery. It's a path of self-mastery, and what I like to call energetic self-mastery, because all of these things I'm talking about are like energetic inputs. Your intuition is refined energy. The energy of the room, the environment, other people coming in, all of that is energy. It all triggers your nervous system, which is just processing and responding to energy. And when you start to understand life in this way, you really can start to become a master of energy and a master of your own how you move through the world, your own self. And so all of this is a process. It's all a process. It doesn't happen overnight. But like I said at the start, it's all an invitation into self, into real self-knowledge, self-knowing, self-understanding, self-acceptance, and ultimately self-mastery. And for me, that is a journey that has unfolded over many years and continues to unfold. And when I even look into the future, I can feel deeper parts of me and my medicine emerging even today that wasn't there 7 years ago. I can look back and see threads. I can see like little threads that were weaving, and now they're coming into fuller expression. And so this is like, I feel like the journey of the soul is this journey of like endless expansion. We are like the universe, endlessly expanding, endlessly expressing. But whenever you commit to that deep journey inward, you start to tap into that infinite supply of energy and life force, and you can start to steward it. And whenever you start to steward it in alignment with your North Star, in alignment with your intuition and your soul gifts, and knowing how to move, like work with your energy field, you ultimately move into a true life of alignment. And that is really, I think, where the greatest liberation lives. And so this is exactly the kind of work that we are up to inside Anchor the Light Collective, which is my spiritual home. It's the place where I house all of the self-mastery teachings that helped me move into a life of greater alignment, where I go deep into the teachings and I take you through guided exercises. I mentioned that map of the nervous system, and I have that in the self-mastery teachings. But it's ultimately a place where you can drop into deep rhythm, a commitment to that inner journey, and to do so in spiritual community. So if you are interested in that, I'll drop the link in the notes. And also, if you're interested in deeper one-on-one work, I do have a limited number of spots available where I do one-on-one coaching and mentorship, supporting people with deepening into alignment, into their soul work, and just ultimately that deeper journey into connecting with your higher levels and that path of self-mastery ultimately. So thank you for being here. I would love to hear what you took from today's video. Drop me a comment below and let me know what stands out to you the most, and I will catch you in the next video.